The German Chancellor is to meet the Ukrainian President today as diplomatic efforts to dial down tensions in the region continue. Russia has amassed around 100,000 troops on Ukraine's border, but denies that it's planning to invade. More than a dozen countries, including Ireland, have told their citizens to leave the country immediately.
Russia and Belarus continue to carry out joint military drills along the border with Ukraine. Despite the massing of over 100,000 troops, Vladimir Putin has denied that he plans to attack. But US officials say Russia's buildup of firepower has reached the point where it could invade at short notice.
A major military action could begin by Russia in Ukraine any day now. That includes this coming week.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is meeting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today and Putin tomorrow to try to fuse tensions, while at the same time saying Europe will show solidarity with Ukraine.
In both cases, it's about exploring how we can secure peace in Europe. Part of that is that we understand this is now a very, very serious threat to peace that we're experiencing.
Meanwhile, ordinary citizens have mixed feelings about the threats, with some signing up for military training.
I'm ready to shoot. If something happens, I will defend my home, my city and my children.
While others are trying to stay upbeat.
At some point, yes, we're afraid, but the most people just stay calm and they're trying to make their lives in different scenarios.
Foreign citizens have been urged to leave Ukraine immediately, but many, like Irishman Paul Nyland, are planning on staying and even fighting if necessary.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here. This is my home. This is where I live.
Ukraine is playing down the threat of an invasion, saying it's yet to see convincing evidence, but it has welcomed the arrival of more military aid. Nicole Gernon, Virgin Media News.
Well, as efforts continue to defuse the situation in Ukraine, the Irish government says it'll maintain a diplomatic presence in the country to help Irish citizens. About 50 people have registered with the embassy in Kiev. Well, let's go live now to the Department of Foreign Affairs, to our political correspondent, Gavan Reilly. Gavan, you've been speaking to the Russian ambassador here a short time ago. What did he have to say to you?
That's right, we were speaking to Yuri Filatov to ask him about that decision by Ireland to recall its citizens and to really downsize and really put on contingency the idea of evacuating its embassy in Kiev. Now, Yuri Filatov says, of course, that is a matter for Ireland, and he understands why countries might like to be prudent and to take extra precautions given the current tensions that there are. But he says that there will be some even in Ukraine, within the Ukrainian administration, who would cast validity over that, or who would question the logic behind other Western governments removing people from their embassies and indeed from recalling citizens from those countries. Now, we have asked the Ukrainian ambassador today for an interview as well. If we do get to hear back from her, then we'll be able to put that claim to her. But Yuri Filatov is also questioning the assessment of Western intelligence officials who've been putting out the idea that there may be a Ukrainian invasion as early as this week.
The latest I have heard is Wednesday, February 16th. Well, all that is rubbish, and there is no and never has been a plan in Russia to attack anyone, least of all Ukraine, which is our neighboring country with the multitude of historical family ties, etc.
Now, Yuri Filatov says that, again, of course, aside from the fact that there is no Russian plan to invade Ukraine, as he says, he also says that the current amalgamation of troops and personnel alongside the Ukrainian border is not actually a build-up. Rather, it's the case that Russia would often have large military presence in that corner of the country anyway. But he says that all of this is risen by the prospect of Ukraine joining NATO. Now, I did put to him as well what the Ukrainian ambassador to Britain said on Saturday evening, where he held out the prospect of Ukraine perhaps withdrawing its NATO application, that maybe that might be enough to de-escalate the whole matter. He says, of course, it remains to be seen whether that will actually be substantiated, and that has been walked back. But either way, the Russian ambassador again insisting that there is no prospect and no intention to launch any sort of incursion into Ukraine.
All right, Gavin, thank you for that.